Hey guys, tonight we are diving into something that sounds a bit intense, but I promise we'll handle it with care. We're talking about the armor of God. Imagine, just for a second, that you're standing in a perfectly calm, quiet room. The lights are low, maybe you hear a clock ticking. Everything seems peaceful. But then you get this feeling, a tiny little shiver, like a draft from a window that isn't open. You feel a sudden weight of sadness, or a flash of anger at someone for something they did last week, or maybe just a deep, draining sense of I'm not good enough. You look around, and there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. No monster in the closet, no intruder at the door. It's just you and this feeling. Now, imagine that feeling isn't just random brain chemistry. Imagine it's a nudge, a whisper, a scheme. Imagine that in that quiet, invisible space, there's a whole different kind of reality playing out. A struggle that's just as real as the chair you're sitting on, but fought with completely different weapons. This is the world the Apostle Paul is writing about from, of all places, a prison cell. He's chained up, but his mind is on a much bigger battlefield. And let's be blunt. If you try to walk onto that battlefield with just your good intentions and a positive attitude, you probably won't survive this. It's like trying to stop a tank with a strongly worded email. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It really does help this little community we're building. And while you're at it, I'd love to see where you're tuning in from. Go ahead and drop your city or country and what time it is for you in the comments. It's always so comforting to see this quiet, global family gathering in the late hours. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Our story tonight comes from a letter Paul wrote to a group of believers in a bustling, cosmopolitan city called Ephesus. This wasn't a sleepy little town. It was a major hub, famous for its massive temple to the goddess Artemis. It was a place full of different ideas, philosophies, and spiritualities, kind of like any major city today. And Paul, writing to his friends there, gets to the very end of his letter. He's already covered all sorts of amazing things: how to get along, how to love each other, how family works, how to be a good person. You'd think he'd wrap it up with a simple "take care, see you soon." But he doesn't. Instead, he leans in, and it's almost like you can hear his voice drop to a serious, urgent, but incredibly loving whisper. He says, finally. That's always a big word. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Let's just pause right there, because that first sentence is everything. Be strong. If you're anything like me, hearing "be strong" can sometimes feel, well, exhausting. It's like being told to lift a car when you can barely lift your grocery bags. We spend so much of our days trying to be strong. Strong for our families, strong at work, strong for our friends. We keep it together, we power through, we fake it till we make it. And most nights, we crawl into bed feeling like we failed. We feel weak, tired, and definitely not strong. And here's the beautiful, gentle secret of this whole passage. Paul knows. He's not telling you to be strong. He's not saying, grit your teeth, puff out your chest and just be stronger. It's a be strong with a crucial difference. Be strong in the Lord. It's not your strength at all. It's His. It's not about finding some hidden reserve of superhero power inside yourself. It's about realizing your battery is dead and finally plugging into the main power source. Think of it like this. You're a tiny little lamp, and you're trying with all your might to shine in a huge, dark room. You're straining your little bulb, trying to glow, but all you can manage is a faint, pathetic flicker. You're exhausted from the effort. And then the Lord comes along, not to yell at you for being a dim bulb, but to gently pick you up and plug your cord into the wall socket. Suddenly, you're blazing with a light that has nothing to do with your own effort. You're just a vessel for a power that is infinitely bigger than you. That is being strong in the Lord. It's a strength of connection, of dependence, of relief. It's the strength of finally letting go and letting His power flow through you, not from you. Paul is saying, stop trying to do this on your own. You can't. You're not supposed to. The first step in this whole thing is to just plug in. So you're plugged in. You're feeling that quiet, steady hum of a power that isn't yours. What's next? Paul continues, put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Okay, full armor. Why the full part? Paul is a practical guy. He's likely looking at a Roman soldier guarding him as he writes this. He sees a man equipped from head to toe. He's got a helmet, a breastplate, sturdy boots, a shield, a sword. He's not just wearing a helmet and flip-flops. He's not carrying a shield, but forgot his chest piece. He's fully equipped. Paul is saying that the kind of opposition we're facing is clever. It's not going to just attack the one part of you that you've guarded. It's going to look for the opening, the tiny, unprotected spot, the part you thought wasn't important. If you go out in a blizzard, you don't just wear a warm hat. You wear a hat, a coat, gloves, boots, and a scarf. Otherwise, the cold will find a way in. This is the same idea. It's a gentle reminder. Let's be thorough. Let's be prepared. God has provided a complete set of gear, so let's be smart enough to put all of it on. And what is this full set of armor for? So that you can take your stand. Notice he doesn't say, so you can go conquer the world, or so you can charge into enemy territory and win a glorious victory. He says, so that you can stand. This is so important. So much of our spiritual life isn't about running around and doing dramatic things. It's about simply standing. Standing firm when a wave of doubt washes over you. Standing firm when you're tempted to say that unkind word. Standing firm when a fog of depression tries to settle in your mind. Standing firm in your integrity when it would be so much easier to cut a corner. Standing doesn't sound very heroic, does it? But let me tell you, sometimes, just holding your ground, just refusing to be moved from a place of peace, or truth, or kindness, is the most heroic thing you can possibly do. The goal isn't to obliterate the enemy in one fell swoop. The goal is to still be standing when the dust settles, to be able to say, that was hard, that was scary, but I'm still here. I'm still plugged in. I'm still standing. And what are we standing against? Paul gives it a name: the devil's schemes. This is where it gets really interesting and where we need to be very gentle. The word devil can conjure up all sorts of dramatic, scary, Halloween-style images. Red pitchforks, horns, swirling smoke. And honestly, that's not very helpful. In fact, that kind of over-the-top imagery is probably a scheme all by itself, designed to make us either dismiss the whole idea as a fairy tale or be terrified of a monster under the bed. The word Paul uses for schemes is methodia. It's where we get our word method. This isn't about brute force. It's not a clumsy, roaring monster. It's about methods. It's about strategy. It's subtle. It's clever. It's the death by 1,000 cuts approach. What does a scheme look like in our nice, quiet, dimly lit rooms? A scheme is that little whisper that says, "You're not really good enough. Look at everyone else. They have it all together. You're a fraud." A scheme is the sudden, overwhelming urge to check your phone right when you were about to have a meaningful conversation with your partner. A scheme is the little rationalization that says, "It's fine to gossip about that person. They kind of deserve it. And besides, everyone's doing it." A scheme is the fog of exhaustion that rolls in, not just physical tiredness, but a deep, soul-level, "what's the point?" weariness that makes prayer feel impossible and reading your Bible feel like lifting a mountain. A scheme is the seed of comparison. You're having a perfectly good day, and then you scroll past a photo on social media, and suddenly your life feels gray and small and pointless. That's a methodia. That's a method. A scheme is the way a tiny disagreement with a loved one can, within minutes, spiral into a full-blown argument, full of old wounds, and you always, and you never. And afterward, you sit there thinking, how did that even happen? These are the schemes. They are subtle. They are often disguised as our own thoughts. That's the brilliance of it. The enemy doesn't usually show up and announce, "Hello, I am an evil scheme here to ruin your day." He shows up and whispers, "You're just being realistic," or "You're just tired," or "You're just standing up for yourself." Paul isn't trying to scare us by pointing this out. He's trying to empower us. He's a good friend pulling us aside and saying, "Hey, I want you to be aware of something. You know all those negative, draining, defeating thoughts and feelings you have, the ones that seem to come out of nowhere and just stick to you. They're not all random. They're not all just you. There's a strategy at play. There's an intent behind them. And the good news is, you don't have to just sit there and take it. There's a way to stand against them." This is incredibly liberating. It means that when you feel that wave of worthlessness, you don't have to believe it. You can step back and say, "Ah, hello there, I see you. You're a scheme. You feel very real, but you are not the truth." Numbing it takes away so much of its power. It's no longer you, it's it. It's a thing you are standing against, not a fundamental flaw in who you are. So we have a power source, the Lord's mighty power. And we have a set of equipment, the full armor, to help us stand against a very specific strategy, the subtle, methodical schemes. But then Paul takes it even deeper. He knows his friends in Ephesus might be thinking, okay, so who is this devil? Is it my annoying neighbor? Is it my terrible boss? Is it that politician I can't stand? We are so quick to put a human face on our problems. We love to have a tangible bad guy. And Paul, in what is perhaps the most famous verse of this entire passage, pulls the curtain back completely. He says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood." Let that sink in. Just breathe that in for a moment. Your struggle, the real, deep, soul-level struggle, is not against that person who cut you off in traffic. It's not against your coworker who takes credit for your ideas. It's not against your family member who just knows how to push your buttons. It's not against the person who holds different political views. It's not against the person who broke your heart. They are not the enemy. They are flesh and blood, just like you. They are, in all likelihood, fighting their own unseen battles, getting tripped up by their own set of schemes. This one sentence, if we could really live in it, would change everything. It would change how we argue. It would change how we forgive. It would change how we see the news. It's a universal timeout. It's Paul grabbing us by the shoulders, looking us in the eyes, and saying, "Stop. You're aiming at the wrong target. The person in front of you is not the real enemy. They are a hostage, just like you are. If the struggle isn't against flesh and blood, then what is it against?" Paul continues, "But against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Now, this sounds like something straight out of a fantasy novel. Rulers, authorities, powers, heavenly realms. It all sounds very grand and very weird. And if we're not careful, our minds can run wild with this, imagining all sorts of complicated, terrifying hierarchies of demons. But let's try to hear this in the gentle, pastoral way Paul likely intended it. He's not trying to give us a detailed organizational chart of the underworld. He's using the language available to him to say, this thing we're up against, it's organized. It's bigger than just one little imp whispering in your ear. It's a system. Think about it. Haven't you ever felt that? Haven't you ever felt like the problems in the world, the injustice, the cruelty, the hopelessness, are more than just the sum of a few bad people? Haven't you ever felt like there's a weight in the air, a power of this dark world, a kind of spiritual pollution, a pervasive scheme that settles over whole cities, whole nations, whole systems? When you feel that sense of it's all rigged, or the whole system is broken, or there's just this darkness I can't shake, Paul is nodding along. He's saying, yes, you're sensing it. It's real. It's not just in your head. There are powers. There are spiritual forces of evil. He's validating that feeling we all have that the struggle is bigger than just us. It's not just our personal, isolated little problem. We are part of a much, much larger story, a cosmic struggle between light and darkness. But here's the key. He doesn't say this to make us feel small and terrified. He says this to make us realistic. He says this so that we stop blaming flesh and blood for problems that are rooted somewhere much, much deeper. He says this to explain why our own strength isn't enough. You can't punch a spiritual force of evil. You can't out-argue a power of this dark world. You can't fake it till you make it against a ruler of that realm. This is why we need to be strong in the Lord. This is why we need the full armor of God. Because we are not fighting a human battle. We are standing in the middle of a spiritual one. This whole section, from verse 10 to verse 12, is the why. It's the setup. It's the diagnosis. Before Paul ever gets to the helmet, the breastplate, or the sword, he spends all this time making sure we understand the context. He's like a doctor gently explaining a diagnosis. Okay, he says, here's what's going on. You've been feeling weak, right? That's because you've been trying to run on your own power. The solution is to plug into God's power. And you've been feeling attacked, confused, and overwhelmed by all these negative thoughts and situations. That's because there are these schemes, these subtle methods being used against you. And you keep getting angry at other people, thinking they are the problem. Well, I've got to tell you, the real issue isn't with them. It's not a flesh and blood problem. The real struggle is with these unseen spiritual forces. It sounds like a lot, I know, but don't panic. The reason I'm telling you this is because there is a solution. There is a prescription. There is a set of equipment specifically designed for exactly this situation. It's called the armor of God. And so we're left in this place of understanding. We're not meant to be afraid. We're meant to be aware. We're meant to be prepared. We're meant to feel a strange sense of relief. Relief that we're not crazy. Relief that our struggles are real. And relief that we are not, and we're never expected to face them alone. The very fact that Paul is about to list a full set of armor is the greatest hope of all. It means that for every single scheme, for every single power, for every single attack, God has a provision. God has a piece of equipment. God has a counter strategy. The battle is real, but so is the armor. The enemy is methodical, but God is all-powerful. The struggle isn't against the person next to you, but against a spiritual darkness. And into that darkness, God doesn't just send us with a pat on the back and a good luck. He looks at us with all the love in the universe and says, "Here, I had this made just for you. Let's get you suited up." And that's where we'll pause for this section. We've set the stage. We understand why the armor is necessary. We feel the unseen tension in the air. We know the fight is real, but we also know that provision is on the way. We're standing, plugged into that quiet, steady power, waiting for instructions, ready to put on the first piece. And so, because of all this, because our real fight isn't with the grumpy person in the checkout line, and because the opposition we face is subtle and strategic, using methods of lies and accusations, because of all that, Paul says, therefore. It's such a simple word, therefore, but it's a word of consequence. It's the so what. Because this is the reality, Paul says, here's the practical response. Here's what you do. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, to stand. He says it again. Put on the full armor, not just the bits you like, not just the helmet because it looks cool, all of it. And why? So that when the day of evil comes, that phrase can sound so apocalyptic. The day of evil. We imagine skis turning red, the world ending. And maybe it includes that, but for most of us, the day of evil is much more personal. It's much more quiet. The day of evil is the Tuesday when you get a phone call with bad news about someone you love. It's the Thursday when a wave of depression, for no reason at all, just hits you. It's the Saturday night when you feel so lonely you can barely breathe. It's the Monday morning when a scheme finds a foothold and a tiny, passing thought of I'm not good enough blossoms into a full-blown, day-ruining identity crisis. It's the moment of temptation that feels completely overwhelming. It's the argument that comes out of nowhere and leaves you shaking. That's the day of evil. It's any day, any moment, when the schemes of the enemy are no longer just a distant noise, but are right in your face, trying to knock you off your feet. Paul is being a loving realist. He's saying, listen, those days will come. This isn't a maybe. This isn't an if. It's a when. Don't be surprised by it. Don't be shocked when life gets hard or when your mind feels like a battlefield. It's part of the landscape. But the goal isn't to be surprised. The goal is to be ready. And what is the goal on that day? That you may be able to stand your ground. Again, not conquer, not vanquish, not charge, just stand, to hold your position, to not be swept away, to not be defeated. And then, my favorite part, and after you have done everything to stand. This is for the after. After the terrible day is over. After the argument is finished. After the tears have dried. After you've prayed and read and talked to a friend and done everything you know how to do. The goal is to still be standing. It's the rocky moment. It's the end of the final round. You're bruised. You're exhausted. You're bleeding. You can barely lift your arms. But you are not on the mat. You are still on your feet. You took every hit the day of evil could throw at you, and by the grace of God, you are still standing. That, my friends, is victory. Sometimes victory doesn't look like a triumph. Sometimes victory looks like survival. Sometimes victory is just a quiet, exhausted, I'm still here. And Paul says, that's the goal. Let's get you equipped so you can do that. So finally, he starts the list. He's got this Roman soldier in his mind's eye, and he begins, piece by piece. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist. This is the first piece, and it's so unglamorous. A belt, really. We were waiting for swords and shields, and he starts with a belt. It's like being given a superhero costume, and the first piece is sensible socks. But a Roman soldier's belt, his cingulum or balteus, wasn't just a fashion accessory. It wasn't just to hold his pants up. It was the foundation of his whole uniform. It was a wide, thick leather belt that was the first thing he put on. It was the base from which everything else hung. His sword scabbard was attached to it. His dagger was attached to it. It might have held little metal plates called an apron that hung down for a bit of extra protection. But most importantly, the soldier wore a long, tunic-like garment. If he had to move quickly, to fight or to march, he would gird his loins. This meant he would pull the excess fabric of his tunic up and tuck it into his belt, high and tight. This got the cloth out of the way of his legs. It gave him freedom of movement. A soldier who wasn't girded was a soldier who was, quite literally, going to trip over his own clothes. He'd be clumsy, restricted, and an easy target. He couldn't run. He couldn't lunge. He was a mess. So the very first piece of armor, the foundational piece that holds everything else up and gives you freedom to move, is the belt of truth. This is so profound. Before you can do anything else, before you can even think about the other pieces, you have to buckle on the truth. What is this truth? It's not just don't tell lies, though, of course, that's part of living in the truth. This is something much deeper. This is truth with a capital T. This is the fundamental bedrock reality of God. This is the truth of who He is and the truth of who you are. The schemes we talked about, they are all at their core lies. You are worthless. That's a lie. God is disappointed in you. That's a lie. You're all alone. That's a lie. This problem is bigger than God. That's a lie. Your feelings are the ultimate reality. That's a lie. Just this one time won't hurt. That's a lie. You'll never be free from this. That's a lie. The enemy's entire strategy is deception. He is, as Jesus called him, the father of lies. He doesn't have much real power, so he relies on convincing us to believe things that are not true. He creates a false reality, a funhouse mirror, and whispers, "This is real. Look how ugly, stupid, hopeless you are." So the first, foundational, non-negotiable step is to gird yourself with what is actually true. The belt of truth is the deliberate, conscious act of choosing to wrap your mind and your heart in the non-negotiable, unchanging reality of God. It's the truth that He is good, even when your circumstances are bad. It's the truth that He loves you, even when you feel unlovable. It's the truth that you are forgiven, even when you feel consumed by guilt. It's the truth that He is sovereign, even when your life feels like it's spinning out of control. It's the truth that He is with you, even when you feel completely and utterly alone. Buckling this belt is an action. It's not passive. You have to do it. You have to put it on. How do we do this? In a practical 2 a.m. when you can't sleep kind of way. It's the act of reminding yourself. It's the act of speaking the truth, even when your feelings are screaming the opposite. Your feelings say, "I'm a failure." You buckle the belt by whispering, "That's a lie. The truth is, I'm a child of God. I am a work in progress. His grace is sufficient for me." Your feelings say, "This is hopeless. Nothing will ever get better." You buckle the belt by saying, "That's a lie. The truth is, God works all things together for good. The truth is, He has a future and a hope for me. This feeling is temporary, but His promises are eternal. This is girding your loins. You're taking all that excess fabric of your life, the chaotic emotions, the confusing thoughts, the anxieties, the what-ifs, the fears, the deceptions, all this stuff that just flaps around and threatens to trip you up. And you are tucking it in. You are securing it. You are containing it within the firm, strong, leather-like grip of God's unchangeable truth. And suddenly, you can move. You're not clumsy anymore. You're not tripping over your own anxieties. You're stable. You're secure. Your mind is clear. This is why it has to be the first piece. You can't put on the rest of the armor if you're still tripping over your own clothes. You can't wield a sword if you're tangled in a web of lies. You can't hold up a shield if you're convinced you're worthless and not worth defending. Everything starts with truth. It's the base. It's the foundation. It's the piece that holds all the other pieces in place. It's the anchor in the middle of the storm of feelings and schemes. So you're standing there. You've plugged into His power, and you've taken a deep breath and buckled that belt. You've reminded yourself of the truth. I am His, He is good, and He is with me. The chaos in your mind starts to quiet down. You feel more stable, more held. What's next? Paul continues, with the breastplate of righteousness in place. Okay, the breastplate. A Roman soldier's breastplate, the larica, was a serious piece of equipment. It was made of overlapping metal plates, or chain mail, or thick, hardened leather. And its job was simple: protect the vital organs, the heart, the lungs. An arrow or a sword thrust to the arm or leg. Painful, debilitating, but you could probably survive. A blow that gets past the breastplate and into the heart or lungs. That's it. It's over. The breastplate protects the core of the soldier's life. So Paul says, we need to put on the breastplate of righteousness to protect our core, our spiritual vital organs, our heart, our identity, our sense of worth, our very life. And this is where the schemes get really vicious. If the belt of truth deals with deception, the breastplate of righteousness deals with accusation. This is the scheme that doesn't just lie about you, it condemns you. It's the voice that whispers, you messed up again. You see, you'll always be this way. You call yourself a believer after what you just thought, after how you just snapped at your kids. God must be so sick of you. He's so disappointed. Look at you. You're a fraud. You're not good enough. You're stained. You're broken. This is the accusation that goes straight for the heart. And it's a fatal blow. Because if you believe it, if that accusation lands, you're done. You're on the mat. You'll stop praying because you feel too much shame. You'll stop connecting with other believers because you feel like a hypocrite. You'll stop trying because you think, what's the point? I'm just going to fail again. Shame, condemnation, guilt, accusation. These are the weapons that target the heart, and they are lethally effective. So Paul says, We need a breastplate. We need the breastplate of righteousness. But whose righteousness? This is the most important, gentle, life-changing question in this entire passage. If the breastplate is my righteousness, we're in big, big trouble. If the breastplate is made up of all my good deeds, all the times I was nice, all the times I prayed, all the times I read my Bible, all the times I resisted temptation, what does that breastplate look like? Honestly, it's a disaster. It's made of tinfoil and sticky tape. It's full of holes. It's rusty. It's not righteous. The very second the accuser comes and says, "You messed up," I'd have to say, "Yeah, you're right." The arrow of accusation would fly straight through the tinfoil and into my heart. I'd be defeated. If I try to stand against accusation by saying, "But I'm a good person," I will lose. Every single time. Because the accuser just has to point to yesterday, or this morning, or 5 minutes ago. My goodness is no defense at all. It's a scheme of the enemy to make me think I can protect myself with my own performance. So if it's not my righteousness, whose is it? It is his. This is the heart of the gospel. This is the great exchange. Paul talks about it in another letter, 2 Corinthians 5:21, where he says that God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. It's a gift. It is not a wage. It is not a reward. It is a free, unearned, undeserved, glorious gift. Jesus on the cross took all of your unrighteousness, all your failures, all your shame, all your guilt, all your mess-ups. He took them onto himself, and in exchange, he gave you his perfect, spotless, unbroken, unblemished, pure, complete righteousness. He gave you his breastplate. It's not made of tinfoil. It's made of solid, shining, divine steel. It has no holes. It has no rust. It has no weaknesses. It is perfect. Putting on the breastplate of righteousness is the act of accepting this gift. It's the act of believing it. It's the act of trusting in his goodness, not your own. So now, let's replay that day of evil. You're standing there. You've got your belt of truth buckled on. You're feeling stable. And the accuser comes. The scheme is launched. You messed up again. You're a terrible no good. The arrow of accusation flies at your heart. Last time, you tried to stop it with your tinfoil breastplate. You said, "No, I'm not. I'm a good person. I recycled last week." And the arrow went right through. But this time, you're wearing his breastplate. The arrow of accusation flies, and it hits the solid, divine steel, and it clangs. It just falls to the ground. It can't get through, and you don't even have to argue. You can just stand there protected. You can agree with the accuser. You're right. I did mess up. I did fail. On my own, I am not righteous. The accuser thinks he's won. But this breastplate I'm wearing, it's not mine. It's a gift. It's Jesus's righteousness. And your accusation can't find a single tiny crack in it. My heart is protected. I am covered. I am safe. I am still his. This is freedom. It's the freedom from having to be perfect. It's the freedom from the crushing weight of shame. It's the freedom to be honest about your failures, because you know your failures no longer define you, and they no longer condemn you. Your heart is protected by a righteousness that has nothing to do with your performance. This is why this peace is so vital. It protects your heart. It protects your identity. The accuser wants to convince you that you are your sin. The breastplate of righteousness declares that you are the righteousness of God in Christ. And notice how these first two pieces work together. You have to have the belt of truth buckled on to even understand the breastplate of righteousness. The truth is that you can't earn it. The truth is that it's a gift. If you're still believing the lie that you have to be good enough for God, you'll never put on the breastplate He's offering you. You'll keep trying to patch up your own tinfoil version. The belt of truth holds the reality. The breastplate of righteousness protects your heart with that reality. So here we are. It's late. The room is quiet. And we've just begun to get dressed. We've stopped trying to be strong in ourselves, and we're plugged into His power. We've taken a deep breath and buckled the belt of truth. We've reminded our chaotic, anxious minds of what is actually real. And we have, with a sigh of relief, stopped trusting in our own tinfoil goodness, and we have put on the solid, shining, perfect breastplate of His righteousness. Our minds are girded. Our hearts are protected. We are not clumsy. We are not fatally exposed. We're stable. We're safe. And we are standing. So there we are, in the quiet of the night, in the middle of our own private day of evil, whatever that may look like. We've been rattled by a scheme, a whisper of a lie. But we've done the first, foundational things. We've reached out and plugged into that great, steady power source that isn't ours. We've taken a deep breath and buckled the belt of truth around our minds. We've reminded ourselves of what is actually real, even when our feelings are screaming something else. We've defined our reality by God's promises, not by the shifting shadows in the room. We've girded up all those loose, flapping anxieties and fears, tucking them securely into the truth. And because of that truth, we've had the courage to put on the breastplate of His righteousness. We've let go of our own tinfoil attempts to be good enough, and have, with a huge, shuddering sigh of relief, accepted the solid, shining, perfect protection that is His goodness, given to us as a gift. Our minds are stable. Our hearts are protected. The two most vital areas, our understanding and our identity, are secure. We're standing. But the battle isn't just in our head and our heart. The enemy is still trying to knock us off our feet. A soldier can have the strongest armor on his torso, but if his footing is bad, if he's standing on slippery mud or loose gravel, one good push is all it takes. One shove, and he's on his back, his armor suddenly clumsy and useless. Paul, watching that Roman guard, knew this. And so, the very next thing he lists is the footwear. He says, "And with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace." Now, let's be honest. When we hear the word peace, what do we think of? We think of soft slippers. We think of a bubble bath. We think of a quiet, still lake at dawn. We think of comfort. And here is Paul, a man in a prison, looking at a battle-hardened Roman legionary, and he talks about shoes. But what kind of shoes did a Roman soldier wear? They weren't soft slippers. They weren't for the spa. They were called caligae, and they were, to be blunt, terrifying. They were thick-soled leather sandals, but the sole wasn't smooth. It was studded with hobnails, little iron spikes, dozens of them. They were the original cleats. Why? 2 reasons. First, for marching. A soldier had to march for miles and miles on hard, rocky, unforgiving roads. These shoes were durable. They were tough. They wouldn't wear out. Second, and much more importantly, for traction, for grip. When a soldier was in the thick of a battle, standing in a shield wall, and another man slammed his own shield into him, the most important thing was not slipping. He had to stand his ground. Those hobnails would dig into the dirt, into the rock, into the blood-soaked mud of the battlefield, and they would hold him fast. A soldier who slipped was a dead soldier. His footing was everything. And so, Paul takes this image of a heavy, spiked, military boot designed for traction in combat, and he connects it to peace. Isn't that the most beautiful and strange paradox? We think of peace as the absence of conflict. Paul thinks of peace as the weapon you use during the conflict. We think of peace as the goal we're trying to reach. Paul thinks of peace as the footing that lets us stand while we're on the way to the goal. He says our feet are to be fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. Let's break that down very gently. First, the gospel of peace. What is this peace? It's not just a feeling. It's not just calmness. It's first and foremost peace with God. This is the peace that the breastplate of righteousness gives us. Because we are wearing his righteousness, the war is over. The state of hostility between us and a holy God, a hostility created by our own failures and sin, has been ended. Jesus on the cross was the ultimate peace treaty. He signed it in his own blood. When God looks at us now, he doesn't see an enemy. He doesn't see a stranger. He sees his beloved child covered in the perfection of his Son. The gospel is the good news of this. The good news is you are at peace with the Creator of the universe. He is on your side. He is not mad at you. He is not disappointed in you. He is not waiting for you to mess up. He is, right now, in this very second, completely and totally for you. That is the gospel of peace. And Paul says, we need to fit our feet with this. This peace is what gives us our readiness, our grip. So, think about those moments when you don't have these shoes on. You're in the quiet room. A scheme comes. The bad news arrives. The phone call you dreaded. The bank account is lower than you thought. The person you love says something sharp and cruel. The doctor's face looks serious. What happens? You slip. You slip into a spiral of what-ifs. You skid on the ice of panic. Your mind starts racing, slipping, and sliding all over the place. What are we going to do? This is a disaster. It's all over. I can't handle this. I'm going to lose everything. You've been pushed, and because you had no footing, you're on your back. You're flailing. You have no readiness. You're completely unready. You're just reacting. Or a scheme of accusation comes. You're a terrible parent, and you slip. You skid right into shame. He's right. I am a terrible parent. I just yelled at them. I'm failing. Or you skid into anger. How dare they say that? I'll show them. You are, in every sense of the word, unstable. You've lost your footing. Now, imagine putting on the shoes. You take a moment. You stop. You sit on the edge of the bed, and you fit your feet with the readiness of the gospel of peace. You take a deep breath, and you drive those hobnails into the ground. You remind yourself, okay, this is scary. This is hard. This hurts. But I am at peace with God. The creator of the cosmos is for me. He is holding my hand right now. This situation is not bigger than him. My worth is not defined by this situation. That's the breastplate. This situation is not the final word. That's the belt of truth. My God is a God of peace, and he has already won the ultimate war. I am on the winning side. What happens when you do that? You stop slipping. The push comes. The wave of panic hits, and your feet hold the hobnails of He is for me, and the war is already over, and I am His. Dig into the ground, and you stand. You might wobble, you might grunt from the impact, but you do not fall. That is the peace Paul is talking about. It's not a sleepy, passive peace. It is a grounded, stable, combat-ready peace. It is the deep, foundational calm that comes from knowing, no matter what is happening on the surface, that your relationship with God is unshakably secure. This is the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, that Paul talks about in another letter. It's a peace that doesn't make sense to the outside world. How are you so calm? Didn't you just lose your job? I don't know. I should be a wreck. But I have this peace. I know He's got this. That's the sound of hobnails digging into the ground. This peace, this footing, is also what gives us readiness. Readiness for what? Readiness to stand. He keeps saying it. Stand, stand, stand. But also readiness to move. A soldier in slippers can't go anywhere. A soldier in Caligie is ready to march. He is ready to move forward. When your feet are shod with the gospel of peace, you are suddenly ready to bring that peace to other people. You're not so consumed with your own slipping and sliding that you can't see the person next to you who is also falling. When you are standing firm, grounded in the peace with God, you can be a peacemaker. When your coworker starts to panic, you, grounded and stable, can be the non-anxious presence in the room. You can lend them your stability. When the argument with your spouse starts to skid into that old, familiar, ugly territory, you can plant your feet. You can stop slipping into the mud of you always, and you never. You can dig in your heels of peace and say, wait, stop. I don't want to fight. You are not my enemy. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood. Let's just stop. I'm on your side. That is the readiness of the gospel of peace. It's the supernatural ability to stop the cycle of panic and start a cycle of peace. So we're standing. We're girded with truth, stable mind. We're protected by righteousness, secure heart. And now we are grounded with peace, stable footing. We're in pretty good shape. We're a solid, immovable post. We can stand our ground. We are, essentially, a living fortress. But the schemes are not just about pushing us. The enemy has long-range weapons. He sees this soldier standing firm, heart protected, mind clear, feet planted. He can't be pushed over. So he changes tactics. Paul knows this. And so the next piece of armor he mentions is different. The first three, the belt, the breastplate, the shoes, are things you wear. They are, in a sense, passive. You put them on, and they are your defense. But this next piece is something you have to use. It's something you have to do. He says, in addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. In addition to all this, some translations say, above all. This thing is important. It's a different class of equipment. Take up, you don't wear a shield. You take it up, you wield it. It requires a conscious action, an act of will. What kind of shield is this? When we think of a shield, we might think of a small, round, Captain America-style shield for deflecting blows. That's not the shield Paul is thinking of. The Roman soldier's primary shield was called a scutum. It was massive. It was rectangular. It was curved, wrapping around the soldier's body. It was often 4 feet tall and 2.5 feet wide. It was, essentially, a portable door, a movable wall. It was made of layers of wood glued together, covered in canvas, and then in thick, treated leather. The edges were bound in metal. A soldier could, quite literally, hide behind it. And what was this shield for? Paul is incredibly specific. It's not just for arrows. It's for all the flaming arrows of the evil one. In ancient warfare, this was a terrifying weapon. They weren't just sharp arrows. They were arrows that had been dipped in pitch or tar, lit on fire, and then fired en masse at the enemy line. What was the point of a flaming arrow? It had a dual purpose. First, yes, to wound. But its primary purpose was psychological. Its goal was to set you on fire, to make you panic, to make you break rank, drop your spear, and start slapping at the flames on your uniform, to make you scream, to make you run. A single soldier, panicked and on fire, could break the entire disciplined line. The fire would spread. The panic would spread. And the moment the line broke, the battle was lost. The scutum was the perfect defense against this. When the flaming arrows hit the thick, water-soaked leather covering of the shield, the flame would be extinguished. The arrow might stick in the wood. It might thud into the shield, but the fire, the panic-inducing part, would be snuffed out. Whoosh. Now, let's bring this into our quiet room. What are all the flaming arrows of the evil one for us tonight? They are not literal arrows, of course. They are thoughts. But they're not just any thoughts. They are the fiery darts, the flaming thoughts. The scheme is the arrow. The flame is the emotion attached to it. The belt of truth deals with the lie, the arrow itself. The shield of faith deals with the panic, the flame on the arrow. Let me give you an example. It's 2 a.m. You're trying to sleep. An arrow is fired. It's a thought. You really messed up that conversation with your boss today. That's the arrow. It's a lie of condemnation. But it's not just a cold thought. It's a flaming arrow. It's lit on fire with shame. A hot, searing wave of I'm so stupid. I'm an idiot. I'm going to get fired. That's the flame. Another one, an arrow. What if my kids get sick? A cold thought. But it's not cold. It's flaming. It's on fire with anxiety. A wildfire of what ifs that suddenly spreads through your entire mind, and your heart starts pounding, and you can't breathe. That's the flame. Another one, an arrow. You'll never get over this addiction. It's on fire with despair. A cold, burning hopelessness that just sits on you. That's the flame. Another one, an arrow. Look at what they posted. Their life is so much better than yours. It's on fire with envy and self-pity. A sickening, burning feeling in your stomach. That's the flame. Another one, an arrow. God doesn't even hear you right now. Where is He? On fire with fear, the terror of abandonment. That's the flame. The goal of these flaming arrows is not just to make you think a lie. It's to set you on fire emotionally. It's to make you panic, to make you break rank with your peace, to throw down your trust in God's righteousness, and to run around screaming, I'm on fire. I'm on fire with anxiety. I'm on fire with shame. I'm on fire with despair. And when you're in that state of panic, you are defeated. You've lost your footing. Your heart is exposed. You're not standing anymore. So Paul says, take up the shield of faith. What is this faith? It's not wishing really hard. It's not believing in yourself. Biblical faith is not a feeling. It is a choice. It is an action. Faith is trust. Faith is reliance. Faith is confidence in something you cannot see, based on the character of the one who said it. Faith is the active decision to trust that the belt of truth is true. Faith is the active decision to trust that the breastplate of righteousness is real. Faith is the active decision to trust that the shoes of peace are secure. Taking up the shield of faith is the act of trust. It's the in addition to all this. You're already wearing the truth and the righteousness and the peace. The shield of faith is the activation of all those other pieces. Let's replay that 2 a.m. scenario. You're standing firm, belt on, breastplate on, shoes on. The flaming arrow of what if my kids get sick is fired. You see it coming. You feel that whoosh of hot panic. The goal is to set your mind on fire with anxiety. What do? You take up the shield. You choose to trust. You lift that massive 4-foot-tall shield of faith and you plant it in front of your mind. You hide behind it and you speak your faith. No, I will not panic. I trust God. My children are in His hands. That's the truth. He loves them more than I do. That's the truth. He is good and He is sovereign. That's the truth. My heart is at peace with him. That's the shoes. And nothing can separate me from his love. That's the breastplate. Therefore, I choose to trust him with this fear. What happens? The flaming arrow, thunk. It hits the shield. It sticks. The thought is still there. You're still aware of the what if. The arrow is now stuck in your shield. But the flame, PFFFT, it's extinguished. The leather of your faith, your active trust in the character of God, has snuffed out the fire. The panic is gone. The wildfire is out. The anxiety has lost its heat. And all you're left with is a flameless arrow stuck in your shield. You can look at it and say, I see you. That was a nasty one, but you have no more power over me. Your fire is out. This is so liberating. Paul is not saying that if you have enough faith, you'll never have another bad thought. He's not saying the arrows will stop being fired. He's promising they will be. He calls them all the flaming arrows, implying there will be many of them. He is giving us the tool to deal with them when they come. The goal is not a mind empty of arrows. The goal is a heart that is not on fire. The goal is to be able to extinguish the flame, to take the panic out of the what if, to take the shame out of the you messed up, to take the despair out of the it's hopeless. And it's a shield. You have to lift it. You don't just have faith. You use faith. You activate it. Every time you feel that heat, that panic, that shame, it's a signal. It's an incoming. And it's your cue to choose. Will I let this burn me? Will I panic and break rank? Or will I take up the shield? Will I choose to trust in the truth, in the righteousness, in the peace that I am already wearing? And the promise is not that some of the flames will go out. The promise is that with this shield, you can extinguish all of them, every single one. There is no flaming arrow so hot that this shield cannot snuff it out. There is no anxiety so wild, no shame so deep, no despair so dark, that an active trust in the character and promises of God cannot extinguish its power over you. This is our active, movable defense. We are girded with truth, so our minds are stable. We are protected by righteousness, so our hearts are secure. We are grounded by peace, so our footing is unshakable. And now, we hold the shield of faith, a massive, movable wall that we can actively place between ourselves and the fiery, panic-inducing, specific, moment-by-moment attacks of the enemy. We're almost fully dressed. We're safe. We're stable. We're defended. All that's left is to protect our mind and to finally pick up our own weapon. So here we are, standing. We've made it this far into the day of evil. We're grounded. We've plugged into that quiet, endless power source that is God Himself. Our minds are stabilized, girded up with the belt of truth. We are choosing to define our reality by what He says, not what our anxieties are screaming. Our hearts are secure, protected by the solid, shining breastplate of His righteousness, a gift that no accusation can pierce. Our footing is firm. We've dug in the hobnails of our shoes of peace, grounded in the unshakable fact that we are at peace with God. We are no longer slipping and sliding on the mud of panic. And because we are stable, we've been able to act. When the flaming arrows came, those sudden, searing, panic-inducing thoughts of what if and you'll never and you're not good enough, we didn't just stand there and let them set us on fire. We lifted the great, curved shield of faith. We chose to trust in the character and promises of God. And as those fiery darts hit the shield, their flames were extinguished. PFFFT. The panic, the shame, the anxiety, their heat was snuffed out. We are standing. We are secure. We are defended. We're in pretty good shape. But the schemes are not just about sharp, fiery, panic-inducing thoughts. The enemy has other weapons. He sees you standing there, calm, grounded, your heart safe, extinguishing his flames. He can't get you to panic and break rank. So he changes tactics. He pulls out a different weapon. It's not a flaming arrow. It's a club, a heavy, blunt force, crushing weapon. It's the thought that doesn't feel fiery. It feels heavy. It's the thought that whispers, "What's the point? Look at you. You're still standing in the dark. You're still fighting. You're tired. And you'll just have to do this all again tomorrow. And the day after that. Nothing is ever going to truly change. This is just it. This is your life, just struggling. Why not just sit down? Why not just give up? It's all for nothing anyway." This isn't an arrow of panic. This is a blow of despair. It's not designed to set you on fire. It's designed to concuss you, to crush your will, to make you stop standing. Because if he can get you to believe that it's all pointless, you'll take off the armor yourself. You'll stop lifting the shield. You'll unbuckle the belt. What's the use? Paul knows this blow is coming. He knows there's one more vital, defensive piece we need. And so he says, take the helmet of salvation. He uses that word again. Like take up the shield. It's an action. It's something you must consciously receive and put on. And what is it? A helmet. The Roman soldier's helmet, the Gallia, was a masterpiece of protection. It was often made of bronze or iron. It wasn't just a simple bowl. It had cheek guards to protect the face. It had a ridge at the back to protect the neck. It had a reinforced brow. Its entire purpose was to protect the head, the mind, the command and control center of the entire body. A soldier could survive a blow to the arm, protected by the shield, or the chest, protected by the breastplate. But a solid, crushing blow to the head, that's the end. Even if it didn't kill him, it would daze him, concuss him, and take him out of the fight. Our head, our mind, our thinking, our will is the command center. And it needs protection from that heavy, crushing club of hopelessness. So Paul says, our helmet is salvation. Now, this can be a little confusing. If we've already put on the breastplate of righteousness, aren't we saved? What's the difference? This is one of the most beautiful and comforting subtleties in the whole passage. Think of salvation in 3 tenses. Past tense, I have been saved, justification. This is what the breastplate of righteousness is all about. The moment you believed, your status changed. You were declared righteous. Your heart, your identity, is already saved from condemnation. You are safe. That's a finished work. Your heart is protected. present tense. I am being saved, sanctification. This is right now. This is the process of standing. It's the act of using the shield, wearing the belt, planting your feet. It's the day of evil. It's the struggle. It's the being made more like him through the fight. Future tense. I will be saved, glorification. This is the end of the story. This is the promise that one day the struggle will be over. The day of evil will end, and the final day of the Lord will dawn. The sun will rise. You will be with him. You will be made perfect. There will be no more schemes, no more flaming arrows, no more darkness. This is the helmet. In another one of his letters, 1 Thessalonians 5:8, Paul says it even more clearly. And for a helmet, the hope of salvation. That's what it is. The helmet of salvation is the hope of salvation. It's the certainty. It's the guarantee. It's the unshakable, helmet-like knowledge of how this story ends. Taking the helmet of salvation is the conscious act of putting on your hope. It's remembering your future. Let's replay that moment. The room is dark. You're tired. You've been standing for a long time. You've been fending off arrows. And here comes that heavy, crushing, club-like blow of despair. What's the point? Just give up. You feel it coming, but this time you're wearing your helmet. CLANG. The blow of hopelessness hits the solid, unbendable hope of your future salvation, and it just bounces off. Your mind is protected. Your command center is safe. You are not dazed. You are not concussed. You are not giving up. And because your mind is protected, you can think clearly. You can talk back to that feeling of despair. You can stand there in the dark and say, "You're right. I am tired. This is hard. It does feel pointless right now. But this is not the end of the story. This feeling is temporary. This struggle is temporary. This day of evil is temporary. My hope is not in how I feel right now. My hope is not in my performance tonight. My hope is in the finished work of Christ and the guaranteed promise of my future glory. I know how this story ends. He will return. He will make all things new. I will be with him, and I will be free. And because I know for a certainty how the story ends, I can find the strength to stand in the middle. Do you see what the helmet does? The shield of faith protects you from the fiery panic of the present. The helmet of salvation protects you from the crushing despair about the future. It protects your perspective. It keeps your hope alive. And as long as a soldier has hope, as long as he believes victory is possible, and in our case, guaranteed, he will keep standing. He will not give up. So now look at us. We are fully defended. Our mind is girded with the belt of truth, stable. Our heart is protected by the breastplate of righteousness, secure. Our feet are grounded by the shoes of peace, immovable. We are extinguishing the flames of panic with the shield of faith, actively defended. Our head is safe from the blows of hopelessness, protected by the helmet of salvation. Hopeful. We are a fortress. We are immovable. We are safe. We can stand and stand. and after everything, to stand. We've survived. But is that it? Is this whole thing just about surviving? Is it just about standing there like a statue in the dark, just taking it night after night? No, Paul has one more piece of equipment. And this one is different. Everything so far, the belt, the breastplate, the shoes, the shield, the helmet, has been defensive. It's all about protection. It's all about standing your ground. But now, Paul, this incredible, gentle, strategic pastor, he gives us a weapon. He gives us something to fight back with. He says, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. This is the only offensive item in the entire list. Finally, we get to do something more than just stand. So what kind of sword is this? When we hear sword, we might think of a giant, two-handed, Braveheart-style claymore. A massive, slashing weapon for cutting down armies. That is not the word Paul uses. The Greek word for that kind of long, heavy, slashing broadsword is rhamphia. Paul doesn't use it. He uses the word machera. The Roman soldier's gladius was a machera, and it was the exact opposite of a broadsword. It was short, often only 18 to 24 inches long. It was almost a dagger. It wasn't designed for big, sweeping, slashing arcs. A soldier in a shield wall didn't have room for that. The gladius was a stabbing weapon. It was for close quarters combat. It was for when the enemy was right in your face. It was personal, precise, quick, and absolutely lethal. It was the thrust. This isn't a shout from a distance weapon. This is an in-your-face, personal, precise weapon. And what is this short, sharp, personal, close-quarters weapon? The sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Okay, let's be very gentle and very careful here, because this is one of the most misunderstood and empowering parts of the whole passage. Just like there are two words for sword, there are two main Greek words for word. Logos. This is word with a capital W. It's the grand, cosmic, complete revelation of God. It's the entire Bible, from Genesis to Revelation. It's the total sum of God's thought. It's Jesus himself, John 1:1. In the beginning was the Logos. Rema, this is a spoken word, a specific utterance, a single saying, a precise word for a precise moment. Which word do you think Paul uses here? He uses Rema. The sword of the Spirit is not the Logos. It's not the entire Bible as a big, heavy, leather-bound book that you're supposed to swing at the enemy's head. That's a broadsword. That's a rhamphia. It's clumsy. It's not what he's talking about. The sword of the Spirit is the Rema of God. It is the specific, precise, spoken word that the Spirit gives you for this specific, precise moment of close quarters combat. It's the short, sharp thrust. We have seen this in action perfectly. When Jesus was in the wilderness, in the day of evil, and the enemy came to him, what did he do? The tempter came with a specific scheme. If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. Did Jesus reply by quoting the entire Pentateuch? Did he give a long, logos-based theological discourse on the nature of God and man? No, he did not slash with a broadsword. He thrust with a machera. He used a specific, precise rema for that specific, precise attack. It is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every rema word that comes from the mouth of God. He even uses the word. The tempter tried again. A different angle. Jesus parried and thrust again. A different, specific rema. It is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test. The tempter tried a third time. A full-on, close-quarters assault. Jesus thrust a third time. The final, precise rema. Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only. That is the sword of the Spirit. It's the right word at the right time. And notice what else it's called. The sword of the Spirit. It's his sword. He's the one who forged it. He inspired the logos. He's the one who maintains it. He illuminates it. And he's the one who hands it to you in the moment of battle. How does this work for us? In our quiet, dark room. It's 2 a.m. You are fully dressed, belt of truth, stable, breastplate of righteousness, secure, shoes of peace, grounded, helmet of salvation, hopeful, you've lifted the shield of faith. The flaming arrow came. You are all alone. God has forgotten you. You lifted the shield of trust. PFFFT. The flame of panic and despair is out. You've defended. You've survived. But the thought is still there. The lie is still hovering. The arrow is stuck in your shield. The presence of the scheme is still right there. It's in your face. It's close quarters combat. You've defended. Now you attack. You take a breath. And the Spirit, the Comforter, the one who is with you, reaches into the great logos, the whole Bible you've hidden in your heart, and he pulls out a specific, precise rema, a machera, and he places it in your hand. He brings to your mind Hebrews 13:5, and you wield it, you speak it, maybe just in a whisper, but you speak it. No, it is written, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. A thrust, that is the sword, that is the counterpunch, that is the offensive move. The scheme circles and comes at you again, whispering, you're too weak. You'll never get through this. You're a failure. You're going to break. You defend. Helmet, my hope is in him, not me. Shield, I trust him to hold me. And then you attack. The Spirit gives you the rema. Philippians 4:13, you speak it. No, it is written. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. A thrust, the scheme comes right up to your face, hissing, you should be so ashamed. Look at what you did today. Look at what you thought. You're a fraud. You defend. Breastplate, I am his righteousness. My heart is safe. And then you attack. The Spirit gives you the rema. Romans 8:1, you speak it. No, it is written. Therefore, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. A thrust, this is fighting. This is talking back. This is displacing the lie with the truth. This is pushing back the darkness with the light. This is why it's so gently important to have the logos in our hearts. You cannot wield a sword you do not possess. This isn't about reading your Bible to be a good person or to check a box. This is, quite literally, about stocking your armory. It's about giving the Holy Spirit ammunition that He can hand to you when you need it most. When you read your Bible, even when it feels dry, even when you're tired, you are not just reading. You are polishing your sword. You are sharpening your machera. You are filling your quiver. So that when the close quarters combat starts, the Spirit has something to give you. And it's His sword. It's not your clever argument. It's not your positive thinking. The power is not in you. The power is in the Spirit and in the word He provides. Your job is simply to trust Him, to receive the rhema He gives, and to speak it, to thrust. So now, look at us. We are complete. We are plugged into His power. We are fully armored. We are standing firm, girded with truth, protected by righteousness, grounded by peace. We are defending ourselves, extinguishing the flames of panic with the shield of faith, deflecting the blows of despair with the helmet of salvation. And we are fighting back. We are wielding the sharp, precise, rhema word of God, the sword of the Spirit, and we are driving back the lies. We are equipped. We are ready. We have everything we need. Paul has given us the entire set of armor. We're done, right? We can just go out and fight now. But wait, a soldier, even fully armed, standing alone in the dark, is still just one soldier. How does he stay alert? How does he know where the next attack is coming from? How does he get his orders from his commander? How does he communicate? How does this whole system work? Paul has given us the equipment. And now, in the very last verses, he's about to give us the communication line and the power source that makes all of it live. He's about to tell us how to use it. And so here we are. We're standing in the quiet, in the darkness, but the darkness doesn't feel quite so heavy anymore. We've been through the whole process, piece by piece. We've plugged into that deep, steady hum of a power that isn't ours. We've buckled the belt of truth around our minds, letting God's reality be the thing that holds us, girding up all those flapping, tripping anxieties. We've put on the breastplate of His righteousness, a solid, shining gift that protects our heart from the killing blows of shame and accusation. We've fitted our feet with the spiked, grounded, hobnailed shoes of the gospel of peace, finding our unshakable grip in the fact that the war between us and God is over. We've used our armor. We've lifted the great shield of faith, that portable door of trust, and we've extinguished the fiery, panic-inducing flames on the arrows of what if and you'll never. We've taken the helmet of salvation, the hope of our future, and let it protect our minds from the crushing, concussive blows of what's the point, and just give up. And then we fought back. We took the machera, the short, sharp, close-quarters sword of the Spirit. And when the lie was still there, hissing in our face, we didn't just defend. We trusted the Spirit to give us the rhema, the specific, right-now word, and we spoke it. It is written, never will I leave you. It is written, there is now no condemnation. It is written, I can do all things through Him. And we felt the darkness recoil. We felt it give way. We are fully dressed. We are fully armed. We are a standing, defending, fighting fortress. But as we stand here in the quiet, a few questions linger, don't they? This is a lot. How do we maintain this? How do we live like this? Does the armor get heavy? How do we know where the next attack is coming from? A soldier, even a perfectly armed one, can be ambushed if he's not alert. And how does this power keep flowing? We plugged in at the beginning, but how does the connection stay strong? How do we get our orders from the commander? How do we know what to do? And it feels a little lonely, doesn't it? Standing here all by ourselves in the dark. Paul, our gentle, wise prison cell pastor, knows these are the last, most important questions. He has given us the equipment. And now, in his final words on the subject, he's going to give us the power source, the communication system, and the brotherhood that makes the whole thing work. He's given us 6 pieces of armor. And now he gives us the 7th element, the one that activates all the others. He's just said, the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. And he takes a breath, and he adds the final, crucial instruction, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kinds of prayers and requests. This is it. This is the how. This is the answer to all those questions. This is the breathing of the soldier. You can have the most magnificent suit of armor in the world, but if you're not breathing, you're just a corpse in a very expensive metal box. You can have the most advanced radio equipment, but if it's not on, if you're not speaking into it, you're cut off. You can have the plug in your hand, but if you don't keep it in the socket, the light will flicker and die. Prayer is the life. It's the connection. It's the communication. Let's look at this, just as gently as we did with the armor. Pray in the Spirit. What does that mean? In the Spirit. It sounds a little, I don't know, mystical, complicated. It's not, it's beautiful. It means, first of all, that you don't have to do this either. So many of our prayers feel just heavy. We don't know what to say. We're too tired to form the words. We feel like we're just talking to the ceiling. Our prayers feel like our effort. They feel in the flesh. Praying in the Spirit is the exact opposite. It's the gentle invitation to let the Spirit pray through you. It's what Paul talks about in another letter, Romans 8. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groans that words cannot express. It's the 2 a.m. moment when all you can do is sigh, when all you can feel is that deep, wordless ache of God. Help. That is praying in the Spirit. The Spirit is taking that groan, that sigh, that ache, and he is translating it perfectly before the throne of God. It's the moment when you're fumbling for words and you just say, Spirit, you know what's in my heart. You know what I need. Please, just speak for me. Praying in the Spirit means it's not a performance. It's a relationship. It's the Holy Spirit himself, the one who gave you the sword, holding your hand, prompting your heart, and guiding your thoughts. It's the shift from I have to talk to God to I get to commune with God. It's the official, direct, always-on communication line to the commander. It's what powers the armor. It's how you know which Rema sword to use. The Spirit tells you. It's how you have the strength to lift the shield. The Spirit helps you. It's how you remember the helmet of hope. The Spirit reminds you. This is the power source. This is the living, breathing, moment by moment connection. And when do we do this? On all occasions. Not just in the day of evil. Not just when the flaming arrows are flying. On all occasions. When you wake up and the light is soft, and you feel that gentle, unearned wave of gratitude, that's the occasion. Thank you. That's prayer when you're driving to work and you're just quiet. That's prayer when you see something beautiful and your heart just lifts for a second. That's prayer when the day of evil does come and the arrow hits and you cry out, help. That's prayer when you succeed, when you win a little victory, when you do speak the rhema and the darkness pulls back. Thank you. That was you. That's prayer. On all occasions means this isn't a special event. It's a posture. It's an open channel. It's the soldier's radio always being on, even if it's just the quiet hiss of the open line. It's the praying without ceasing that Paul talks about. It's not saying prayers 24/7. It's living in a 24/7 state of prayer. An open, aware, connected heart. And what kind of prayers? With all kinds of prayers and requests. This is so freeing. God is not a vending machine that only accepts one kind of coin. There are petitions. God, I need this. Please help me with my rent. Supplications. God, I am begging you. This hurts. Please take this feeling. Intercessions. God, my friend is in so much pain. Please be with them. Thanksgiving. God, you are so good. That sunrise, my coffee, the fact that I'm breathing. Thank you, adoration. God, you are just, holy. You are beautiful. You are amazing. I have no requests. I just love you, confession. God, I messed up. I did it again. I'm so sorry. All kinds. Paul is saying, just talk to him. However you feel, whatever is on your heart. Happy, sad, angry, tired, desperate, grateful. All of it is welcome. Just bring it. Just keep the line open. So this is the personal power. Prayer is the connection to the commander. It's how the Spirit empowers you and the armor on you. But it still feels a little lonely. And Paul, he knows this. He knows the greatest scheme of the enemy. The enemy sees you. You're standing there. You're plugged in. You're armored. You're praying. You're extinguishing his arrows. You're wielding your sword. You've become very difficult to defeat. So he has one last terrible scheme. His master stroke. He can't take you down. So he's going to isolate you. He's going to whisper the master lie. The one that this entire passage was written to destroy. He's going to whisper, you're the only one. Look at you. You're fighting so hard. You're so tired and you're all alone. Go on, go to church. Look at everyone else. They're smiling. They're singing. They're fine. They've got it all together. They aren't fighting like you are. You're the only one who has these thoughts. You're the only one who is this weak. You're the only one who is this broken. You're a fraud. You're a fake. And you are completely alone in this. And that is the killing blow. Because the moment you believe that, the armor does get too heavy. Your arm is too tired to lift the shield. Your mind is too foggy to find the sword. And you do sit down. You do give up. Because what's the point of fighting if you're the only one? Well, he knows this. He knows that a Roman soldier never, ever fought alone. A Roman soldier was part of a legion. He was part of a unit. And when the flaming arrows came, they didn't just stand alone. They formed the testudo, the tortoise. You've seen it in the movies. The front rank would kneel, locking their scutums, shields together, edge to edge. The rank behind them would stand, locking their shields together. The ranks inside would lift their shields over their heads, creating a roof of overlapping shields. They became one thing, a single, impenetrable, moving box of armor, and the thousands of flaming arrows would just clatter off the top and off the front. No single soldier was being hit. The unit was absorbing the entire attack. No single soldier was responsible for defending himself. He was only responsible for holding his shield in place to protect the man next to him. And he was trusting that the man next to him was doing the same thing. The armor was not individual. It was corporate. It only worked together. And this is the master stroke of Paul's letter. He's just given you your armor, and now he tells you what to do with it. He says, "And pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kinds of prayers and requests." With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. This is everything. This is the end of the loneliness. This is the end of the isolation. This is the antidote to the master lie. Be alert. Alert to what? Yes, alert to the schemes of the enemy, but even more, be alert to the soldiers next to you. Be alert to your brothers and sisters. Your armor isn't just for you, it's for them. And always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. This is the testudo. This is the shield wall. This is how we stand. We stand together. When you are praying for your friend who is in their own day of evil, they're tired. Their arm is shaking. They can't lift their own shield. And you, from your place, you pray for them. God, cover them, protect them. I can't be with them, but you can. Be their shield. Give them strength. In that moment, in the unseen spiritual realm, you are linking your shield with theirs. You are holding your shield over their head. You are fighting for them. And when you are too tired, when you can't lift your shield, someone, somewhere, maybe someone you don't even know, is praying for you. They are alert. They are praying for all the Lord's people, and that includes you. And their prayer, their shield, is covering you. You are not alone in this. This is the how. This is the secret. The armor is not for lonely warriors. It's for an army. It's for a family. This is why prayer is the seventh, all-encompassing piece. Prayer is what connects us to our commander, praying in the Spirit. And prayer is what connects us to each other, praying for the saints. It's the communication system of the entire army. The schemes are let's isolate that one. And the divine counter-strategy is let's connect all of them. When you feel that lie, you're the only one, the sword of the Spirit, the Rema, that the Spirit will give you is this very verse. No, I am commanded to pray for all the saints, which means all the saints are in this with me. they are also fighting. I am not alone. The helmet of salvation is the hope that one day this whole army will stand together, victorious, and we will see the faces of the people who were praying for us, whose shields were covering us when we didn't even know it. The shoes of peace are what ground us in the unity that makes the shield wall possible. Do you feel the weight lifting? It's not all on you. It never was. You are responsible for putting on your armor, but you are part of a body that stands together. And just to prove it, just to model it, Paul, the general, the apostle, the one who wrote the manual, he does the most vulnerable, most beautiful, most shield wall thing he could possibly do. He says, "Pray also for me." What pray for, Paul? Pray for the man who saw Jesus on the Damascus road. Pray for the man who wrote half the New Testament. Pray for the man who is telling us about the armor. He needs our help. He needs our prayer. Yes, yes, this is the most comforting part of the entire chapter. Even Paul is in the fight. Even Paul gets tired. Even Paul is a target. He is not a super saint. He is a soldier just like us. And he's in his own day of evil. He's in chains. He is, quite literally, on the front line of the battle. And he is calling back to us, the rest of the army. Link your shields with me. I need covering fire. I'm in a hard place. Pray for me. He shatters all spiritual pride. He shatters all isolation. He pulls us, the believers in Ephesus, the believers right here tonight. He pulls us into the shield wall with him. We are in this together, he says. And what does he ask for? This tells us everything. Does he say, "Pray for me that I get out of these chains? They hurt. I'm cold. I'm in prison. Pray for my release. Pray for my comfort. Pray for my safety." No, he doesn't ask for any of that. His helmet of salvation is on so tight. His hope is not in his circumstances. He knows his circumstances are temporary. His mission is eternal. He asks for prayer for his mission. He asks for weapons. Pray also for me, that whenever I speak, words may be given me. That's the sword of the Spirit. He's asking for Rema. He's asking us to pray that the Spirit will give him the right words to say. And why? So that I will fearlessly make known the mystery of the gospel. He's asking for boldness. He's asking for courage. He's in chains. He is in the one place where you would expect him to be silent, to be afraid. The flaming arrows of fear are flying at him harder than at anyone else. Be quiet, Paul. They'll kill you. Just be quiet. Stay safe. And Paul is saying to us, lift your shields of faith and cover me. Pray for me. Pray that I will not be afraid. Pray that I will not be silent. He's asking us to be his armor. And then he gives us the single greatest reframing of our struggles. He says, pray for me, for which I am an ambassador in chains. He doesn't say, I am a prisoner. He says, I am an ambassador. An ambassador is a high-ranking official representative of a king. An ambassador is not a citizen of the country he's in. He's a citizen of the kingdom that sent him. He has diplomatic immunity. His king is backing him up. Paul is saying, this place, Rome, this prison, this is foreign territory. I'm an ambassador from the kingdom of light on a mission in the kingdom of darkness. And the in chains, that's just his disguise. That's just his uniform for this specific, deep cover assignment. The chains do not define him. His ambassadorship defines him. His helmet of salvation, his hope and identity, is so secure that he can look at chains and call them the regalia of an ambassador. He is not a prisoner of Rome. He is an ambassador to Rome, and his mission is to speak. Pray that I may declare it fearlessly, as I should. He says it twice. Fearlessly, fearlessly. He's not asking for his situation to change. He's asking for the grace to change his situation. He's not asking to be rescued from the darkness. He's asking for the power to invade the darkness with light, with the mystery of the gospel, the good news of peace. His shoes are on. He is ready to advance, even in chains, especially in chains. And that, my friends, is how the armor works. It's not a costume we put on to hide in the dark and survive until morning. It's the uniform we put on, girded with truth, protected by his righteousness, grounded in his peace, secure in our hope, so that we can stand. And we stand, extinguishing the flames of panic with our shield of faith. We stand, fighting back the lies with the sword of the Spirit. And we stand together, linked, shield to shield, praying for each other, fighting for each other, covering each other, alert to our own struggles and alert to the needs of the soldier next to us, connecting to our commander in the Spirit and connecting to each other in prayer. That is how we stand, after everything to stand. We don't stand alone. We stand as an army. We stand as a family. We stand as the body of Christ. And we are not just defending. We are praying for our ambassadors. And we are the ambassadors who are fearlessly advancing the light. And in that togetherness, in that shared life, we find our rest. We find our peace. We find our strength, because the battle is real, but the commander is realer, and the army is with you. You are not alone. Tonight, as you sleep, someone somewhere is praying for you. Their shield is covering you. Rest in that. Rest in him.